Hello everyone, TMMgamer here, and today I have the pleasure to bring you another one of my videos where I spend most of it talking about real life football, and today's video is going to be my opinions on the recent transfer window. Now obviously today's video is going to be focusing pretty much on the English Premier League because that's the league I spend most of the time watching, so hopefully, fingers crossed anyway, that's the league I can give you the best and most accurate opinions on. So let's dive straight in. I have to say, this transfer window was one of the most interesting transfer windows in a while, because if you have a look at all of the teams, a lot of them had new managers, a lot of money was spent, a lot of teams went, right, if we're going to challenge for top four, we really need to spend the money this year. And when you look at around all of the players that got bought, the Premier League has really had a lot of top quality players come and join it. And I have to say, I'm really looking forward to get FIFA 14 in just so I can build a Premier League Ultimate Team, because there are so many quality players I can choose from now. I'm really excited, but what I wanted to do with this video is just talk through a couple of the teams that I think did particularly well and particularly badly. And let's start on the right side of the spectrum. I think, for example, Tottenham Hotspur had a very good transfer window, and partially I think this is because of the absolutely astronomical amount of money they got for Gareth Bale. I mean, obviously the major move in the transfer window was Gareth Bale's world record move to Real Madrid, and you know, I think Gareth Bale's a very good player. He had an absolutely fantastic season last year, and I'm sure he'll do well at Madrid, but I have to say, I think the price they sold him for, I mean, a world record bid, over £80 million, I think that's absolutely ludicrous, to be quite honest with you, because Gareth Bale, like I said, I think he's a very fine player, but he's only really had one good season. I mean, if you look at last season, he had a very good year. He was one of Spurs' highest scorers. I think he might have actually been their top scorer. Scored a lot of brilliant goals from outside the area, long shots, free kicks, you name it. But if you look at the season before that, he didn't exactly set the world alight. So Madrid have spent £85 million on a player who's only had one very good season. And for me, I think that's a massive overpayment. Because, I mean, you paid more money for him than they did for Ronaldo. I mean, Ronaldo's much better than Gareth Bale. And, you know, it's a really big ask for Gareth Bale to come anywhere near where Cristiano Ronaldo's coming, because he's averaging a goal a game over the course of like 3 seasons now, which is just crazily good. So for me, I think Real Madrid have overpaid for Gareth Bale quite considerably. But saying that, they have got a quality player. So whether he can live up to the price tag and the hype will only be able to see after a few seasons. But you know, from a Spurs point of view, getting that amount of money for Gareth Bale is just a brilliant bit of business, and Daniel Levy's done really well there. And also, they have bought in some absolutely tremendous players. Spurs' main problem last season was not having a regular supply of goals, and then you buy a player like Roberto Soldado, who really is a proper goal scorer. You know, he played in the Valencia team, which was pretty good, but you know, the service he's going to get in that Spurs team is going to be right up there. So I can see him getting 20 goals a season. And if Spurs have a 20-goal a season striker, they're really doing well, because the rest of the players they've bought, you know, the Chadleys, the Ericssons, the Paulinhos, a really good team. And they've strengthened pretty much all the way through the squads. It's a very good side. And don't forget as well, last season, players like Hugo Lloris came in, an absolutely top quality keeper. So throughout that Tottenham side, there is depth and quality. And I know they lost the North London derby, but I think over the course of the season, once all of those players are bedded in, they're going to be absolutely firing. So that's the team I think who's had a very good window. Another team who I think's had a good window is Everton. I mean, Everton, I think Roberto Martinez has done very well to keep Leighton Baines, because Leighton Baines was always on the list of the players that everyone thought was going to leave and go to Manchester United. So to keep Leighton Baines, it might only be till January, it might only be for another season, but I definitely think that's a good piece of business. And when you look at the players he's bought in as well, I mean, he's got Romelu Lukaku and Gareth Barry on loan, 2 very good signings. I mean, Gareth Barry got frozen out at Manchester City. Obviously Pellegrini's come in, he's got new ideas, signed some new players. Fernandinho's come in for big money, obviously from Shakhtar. So Gareth Barry was not going to have a lot of chance this year. But he's still a very good player, and you know, he's got quite high wages, but I assume he's taken a wage cut to come to Everton. So very good signing. Lukaku again last season was excellent for West Bromwich. Come on loan to Everton. Everton, I'm not sure about their strikers. No, Jelavic really tailed off towards the end of last season. Kone, he hasn't really played this season so far. So It's not really seeing anything from him. So getting Lukaku in there is a really good piece of business. And then don't forget, selling Marouane Fellaini for 27.5 million. You know, that's a lot of money for Fellaini. And the thing that really impressed me about what Everton did there is because Man United could have bought him for 23 million at the start of the window. So I think Everton have done well to eke out that extra little bit of money. You know, 27 million is a lot of money for Marouane Fellaini, and I'm sure he'll do well at United because he's something a little bit different. They don't really have a player who plays like he does. So it's a good signing in that sense, but again, a little bit of an overpayment. But once again, Everton reinvested that very, very well. Invested it in James McCarthy, I think. I always get McCarthy and MacArthur confused, but I'm 99% sure it's James McCarthy. Signed him from Wigan. He's a very, very good player. You know, he just looks tidy. You know, Martinez likes his young players, and McCarthy fits that mould very, very nicely. Be interesting to see how him and Barkley play in the middle of midfield, actually. I think that might be a nice partnership for Everton in the future. But that's a good signing. So I think Everton have had a good transfer window. And if you look alongside, just across Stanley Park to Liverpool, I think Liverpool have had a very, very good transfer window as well. I mean, the main reason why they've had such a good window is obviously because they've kept Luis Suarez. And at the start of the window, it really did look like Luis Suarez was gone for all money. I mean, reports in Uruguayan papers saying he was unhappy with the press, wanted to leave, didn't want to go, wanted to move abroad, and all of a sudden the rumours was that he was going to Arsenal, and they put that £40 million and £1 bid in, and it looked like, oh, he's off. But for Brendan Rodgers to keep hold of Luis Suarez is a really big coup because he is a tremendous player. I mean, he may be a bit of a mentalist, but at the end of the day, you need players of that quality to challenge for the top four, and he really is a top-class player. And I can't see Liverpool really looking to move up the league unless they keep players like that. But I mean, you look at Liverpool's team now, they really have strengthened. I mean, Sakho and Iori at the back, great signings. They've got Ali Sissoko on loan, a little bit of the football manager gem in Ali Sissoko. Very, very good. Kolo Toure as well on a free transfer. He's looked exceptionally solid so far, and obviously Simon Mignolet. What more can you do to ingratiate yourself to a new set of fans than save a penalty on your debut and keep 3 clean sheets for the first time in the top flight ever at the start of the season? I mean, that's a great way to introduce yourself to the new set of fans. So I do like Mignolet. I think he's a very good keeper. I always thought Pepe Reina was a little bit overrated, so you know, obviously the Liverpool fans are already beginning to forget Pepe when Simon's come in and started so well. So once again, I think Liverpool have done very, very well in the window. Aspas up front as well looks pretty tidy. It's going to be interesting to see how Rodgers fits in all of these attacking players when Suarez comes back from his ban. But that strength in depth really begins to come into Liverpool now. And this is the thing, you know, you really do need strength in depth to qualify for Champions League and to really challenge the upper echelons of the league. Because I can remember when Martin O'Neill was at Aston Villa, you know, our starting 11 was a very, very good 11. I mean, we had basically an England midfield because we had Downing, Young, Milner and Barry, and all that time, all of them were pretty much in the England team. We had players like John Carew up front firing for us. We had Brad Friedel in goal, top quality keeper. But our real problems came from the fact that once you got past those 11 players, the depth wasn't there. So come March, April time, when all of our players have played 90 minutes of pretty much every game and all of the cups and the Europa League, it really begins to take it out of you. So having that depth is absolutely crucial, and I think Liverpool have got that now. So I think they're definitely improving. Whether they get top 4, it's going to be very, very tricky, but it's going to be a really good show for them. I think they can definitely challenge up there, possibly finish above Arsenal as well. You know, the top end of the Premier League's got really, really tight now, so that's going to be very, very interesting. But that's enough of the teams who I think I've done well. Let's talk about the teams who I think have done a little bit badly. And the first one is going to surprise you a little, because I'm going to say Arsenal is a team who I think have done badly. Now, obviously, Arsenal signed a real coup of a player on the final day in Mesut Ozil. They're smashing their transfer record, well over £40 million, and you know, their previous transfer record was Andrea Sharvin for I think 15 million. So that really is smashing your transfer record, and there's no doubt. I mean, Mesut Ozil is an absolutely fantastic player, and he's going to do really well at Arsenal. I mean, him, Walcott, Cazorla. The service they're going to give for Giroud up front is just incredible. But the reason why I think Arsenal have had a bad window is because they needed to strengthen other areas. When you look at Arsenal's signings, they've signed Viviano on loan, they've signed Ozil as I've mentioned. But really, they haven't signed anyone else. I mean, they re-signed Matthew Flamini to play in central midfield, and they missed out on a player like Luis Gustavo. I mean, they didn't sign a new striker then. They missed out on players like Higuain. They haven't really signed a top-quality goalkeeper. I mean, they could have gone in for Julio Cesar at QPR. I mean, Cesar's still a very, very good goalkeeper, and I think he would have been ideal at Arsenal. You know, an experienced keeper to just go in for a season or two, let Szczesny learn, let Szczesny develop, and then in a couple of seasons, when he's moved on, Szczesny will come into the breach and be a better keeper for it. So I think Arsenal have had a disappointing window because they have made a marquee signing for the first time in a long, long time. But I think there were other areas they really needed to strengthen. And you know, defence, central defensive midfield, those were the two real key areas, and Arsenal haven't strengthened really that much in those areas. So will Ozil be enough to keep them in the Champions League and move them up towards the right end of the table? I don't know. The competition is very, very stiff. Like I mentioned, Liverpool and Tottenham have had two very, very good transfer windows. So the competition at that end of the table is very, very fierce now. So it's going to be very interesting to see if they can live with it. So that's one team. The next team I think has had a very, very bad window is Manchester United. I mean, Manchester United, their transfer dealings smacked a little bit of desperation this window. And, I mean, for example, you started off right at the start of the window with United interested in Thiago from Barcelona. Great player, very, very good player. He very early said that he wanted to go to Bayern Munich because obviously Guardiola was there and Thiago was introduced to the first team by Pep Guardiola. I think, actually, before Guardiola came to Barcelona, Thiago was just sitting in the Barcelona Bs and they were looking to ship him on, and he showed the faith, got him into the team, and I've obviously played very, very well from there. So United fruitlessly chased Thiago. That was never going to happen. They then shifted to Cesc Fabregas, who came out many times saying, I'm going to stay at Barcelona unless they accept an offer for me. I don't want to go. And then you had the coach of Barcelona say, it's up to Cesc Fabregas. We don't want to sell him, but if he wants to go. So it was very, very clear that he wasn't going anywhere. Yet United continued to put bids in for a player that wasn't going to come to them, basically. And then, as the window began to close down, you had them putting the quite farcical bids, I thought, for Leighton Baines. They basically put the same bid in twice. I mean, the first bid was rejected out of hand by Everton, and then they went, okay, so you rejected that one. Let's just see if you'll accept it again. They put basically the same bid in again, expecting a different result, and it was obvious Roberto Martinez was going to turn that bid down. And all of this time has elapsed, which meant that and Marouane Fellaini's release clause has now expired in his contract, which was 23 million. So in the end, they sign Marouane Fellaini. They miss out on Thiago. They miss out on Fabregas. They miss out on the Coentrao loan on the last day. They miss out on Ander Herrera. To be honest, I think that's a good thing they've missed out, because he got the same amount of red cards as he did goals last season. And when you've got a player like Shinji Kagawa, who just, I can't understand why he doesn't play. He's a fantastic player. Get him in the team. Play him in central attacking midfield. He's really, really good. You know, just won 2 German league players of the season at Dortmund. What more do you want? I mean, that league is just full of an embarrassment of riches. And he won player of the league twice. And yet he doesn't even get a sniff at United. So play him. Don't know why they were chasing Herrera, but you know, it blew up in their face. It just looks bad. You know, again, Fellaini, they left it really late. You could tell he wasn't a first choice signing, because if he was, he would have been signed for 23 million when they had the release clause in action. They missed out on Coentrao, missed out on Thiago. It just didn't look good. And when you put into the pot that United have started very, very poorly at the start of the season, really. I mean, I think it's their worst start since, I can't remember off the top of my head, but it's a very, very bad start. No goals scored in the last 2 games for Manchester United is not great. Yeah, I live in Liverpool as well. Well, I did live in Liverpool for 3 years. No one likes losing to Liverpool, especially, you know, no United fan enjoys losing to Liverpool. That is a massive rivalry. So you've gone away to Anfield and you've lost 1-0. No one's going to be happy with that. And don't forget, no real good signings. It's a bit of a worrying time, this, for Manchester United. And I think they've had a bad window. You know, they've still got a very, very good squad. I'd still be very surprised if they didn't challenge for the Premier League, but they could have done so much better. And even if they had signed Fellaini, if they'd just gone out early and bought him, and then they'd only got him, everyone would have gone, yeah, it was a little bit disappointing, but at least they went out, they got Fellaini nice and early, and then they tried to sign good players. But it was just the way it unfolded. It just ended up looking quite bad on them. So I think they've had a bad window. But the team for me who's had the worst window is West Bromwich Albion, because West Brom last year, they really were saved by Lukaku, and I don't think they've got a bad side by any stretch of the imagination, but Lukaku really was that something a little bit special in their team last year that really helped propel them to a very, very solid finish. But when you look at this team now, they've got rid of a load of striking options. For a long time, Shane Long was the only striker at that football club. They lost Lukaku, obviously had him on loan, and who have they really replaced him with? They've replaced him with Nicolas Anelka on loan, who hasn't done it at a high level for a very, very long time. You know, he went to China for a while, Shanghai, didn't really hear too much about him. He's come back on loan. Obviously, he's had his personal problems with his agent dying. It's not ideal preparation for a season, is it that? I mean, you've got Vidra, who they've signed on loan again, you know, played in the Championship last season with Watford. Yeah, he played well, but these guys aren't replacing Lukaku. And then on deadline day, they signed Victor Anichebe from Everton for a fee that could rise up to £6 million. And I think that is a lot of money for Victor Anichebe. Basically, he's just a workhorse. You know, he's a guy who will all day run for you. He'll run the channels, he'll work hard. But like Paul Merson said on Gillette Soccer Saturday, if you want someone to work hard, I'll go to the local building site. He'll do that for 30 grand a week. You need a little bit more than that, and I can't see Victor Anichebe scoring the goals West Brom need. And then they signed someone like Stefan Sessegnon as well. Sessegnon had a very, very good breakout season in the Premier League. When he first came to Sunderland, he looked a very, very dangerous player. Last season, he was anonymous. He really was. He wasn't a fantastic player by any stretch of the imagination. So the transfer dealings really do look a little bit dodgy for West Brom. They haven't really replaced Lukaku. The only signings they've made, they signed Amal Fintano on loan as well. No real permanent signings of any note. You know, the ones they did bring in were a little bit overpriced, and they're reliant on a lot of loan players who are either old or very inexperienced. And it's not a great mix, and they've started the season pretty badly. So I am a little bit worried for West Brom. But guys, that's the end of the video. I hope you've enjoyed it. Just did a quick little overview of my winners and losers in the transfer window. Really hope you've enjoyed it, and I'd be interested to hear what you guys think. There were a lot of players moved in and moved out. Who do you think was the best signing? Who do you think was the worst signing? And like I've done in this video, who do you think was the club who did the best amount of business, and who do you think the club who did the least amount of business? So guys, once again, thank you so much for watching. Hope you've enjoyed it, and as always, have a great day.